This episode of News from Poland Business and Law will be devoted to the topic of personal responsibility of management bodies for compliance with cybersecurity regulations and standards, particularly with the EU NIS2 Directive and its upcoming transposal to Polish law. The subject will be explained by Jakub, advocate and partner in Wardyński Partners dispute resolution practice. As usual, our program is addressed to foreigners who are members of management boards in Polish companies and to foreign investors.
Cybersecurity has become a fact of life for businesses in Europe. The Polish Ministry of Digital Affairs has recently reported that since the start of 2024, over 1,000 attacks on Polish organizations have been occurring each week. Public authorities have not been blind to this rise in cyber threats, however. There has recently been a wave of important legislation dealing with cybersecurity issues coming from the European Parliament. One example is the revised Network and Information Security Directive, NIS2 for short. The NIS2 Directive is intended to strengthen the internal cybersecurity measures of businesses from certain sectors or industries deemed as essential or important to the overall economy or public safety of EU states. This includes, for example, companies from the energy sector, those dealing with waste management, water supply, the production and distribution of chemicals, or even those from the IT infrastructure and medical devices industries. NIS2 and other newer EU regulations, such as the Digital Operational Resilience Act, which focuses on the financial industry, reflect certain broader trends in cybersecurity and cyber risk management. One of them, which we will cover in more detail today, is the proposal to treat cyber threats as a form of material business risk, rather than just a technical concern. There is a natural temptation to view cybersecurity as a technical risk, and to conclude that the solution should, therefore, also be technical. That is why many businesses often choose to entrust their cybersecurity risk management functions with their IT departments. That is a fallacy, however. Many, if not most, cybersecurity incidents are actually possible not because perpetrators have overcome sophisticated technical security measures, but by exploiting the human factor, such as the susceptibility of certain employees to social engineering and similar techniques. Furthermore, even the best security measures, both technical and organizational ones, will likely fail unless they are well tailored to the way in which the employees of the organization carry out their daily tasks. Cybersecurity works best if it is aligned with the practical realities of the business and when it doesn't work against them. To give you an example, you probably wouldn't choose to wear seatbelts in your car if they made it highly difficult for you to operate the steering wheel or gear shift lever, right? Even if you knew it would make you safer. That is why the current trend is to treat cybersecurity as a material business risk, requiring practical and well-tailored solutions. Okay, but how is this change in mindset supposed to be achieved? Well, put simply, the NIS2 Directive aims to achieve this by introducing personal responsibility for cybersecurity of the management. According to Article 20 of the NIS2 Directive, management bodies of regulated entities will be personally responsible for two broad areas. One, approving risk management measures to be adopted by the organization, and two, overseeing their day-to-day implementation. Members of management bodies will also be required to undergo regular trainings to provide them with sufficient knowledge and skills to correctly identify risks, to assess their impact, and to choose appropriate risk management measures. Finally, the directive makes it clear that it will be possible for members of management bodies to be held liable for non-compliance with their duties. Regulatory authorities will be able to impose sanctions, both financial and other, on non-compliant managers, including the right to temporarily prohibit them from exercising their managerial functions. In terms of fines, according to the current draft bill of the Polish implementing legislation, the regulatory authorities will be able to impose fines on individual management board members of up to 6 times their monthly salary. Now, you may wonder, why is this focus on personal involvement of management relevant? How is it supposed to ensure better protection against cyber threats? The main reason is that management should know best which functions or areas of the organization are most important to its daily business, and consequently which threats are most dangerous and require the most attention. But that is a very general statement. I can provide you with at least 2 tangible examples showing why this matters and what are the practical benefits of direct involvement of management in cybersecurity. Firstly, management can act as a filter, ensuring that security measures introduced by the organization are respectful of its business and the way it operates. As already mentioned, you don't want your cybersecurity risk management measures to be overly protective, certainly not to the extent that would make it burdensome for average employees to perform their daily functions. In other words, you don't want to take the same approach to cybersecurity as early traffic authorities did, with respect to ensuring road safety, with what were called red flag traffic laws. According to those regulations, introduced primarily in the 19th century in the UK and the US, in order to prevent accidents from occurring on public roads, the owners of early automobiles were required to employ an additional person that would walk in front of the vehicle, waving a red flag as a warning to incoming traffic. Needless to say, this approach was far from practical or realistic, and even though it might have ensured a high level of safety, it is not something that could be employed in the long term. The same concern applies in the case of cybersecurity risk measures. You need to be able to ensure that they undergo a business reality check before they are implemented. And who is better placed to know that business reality, if not the management board? Secondly, management can have an important role in managing conflicting interests that usually arise in cybersecurity risk management. This is particularly apparent with respect to cybersecurity incident handling. Once an incident occurs, for example, a ransomware attack resulting in a data breach, the organization needs to appoint an incident response team that will handle and mitigate its impact. Usually this team will involve people from many different areas of the organization, such as the IT department, the legal team, data protection officer, as well as the PR or HR departments. All of these people will have different roles and concerns in the case of an incident, which can sometimes lead to conflicting priorities. For example, the IT staff will likely be primarily concerned with restoring access to data and systems that were affected by the incident. That is their job, after all. On the other hand, the legal department will usually be focused on issues of confidentiality of impacted data, sometimes to the exclusion of other concerns, such as restoring the availability of affected systems. The management can, in such instances, act as a mediator between the different departments by accurately assessing the impact of the incident on critical business functions and deciding which tasks and concerns should take priority. Again, it is primarily the knowledge and awareness of the business reality that is the main asset and reason for having the management involved. I hope I convince you that cybersecurity is something that should not be left just to the IT department. Our firm has been handling cybersecurity matters for nearly a decade, and we firmly believe that cybersecurity is first and foremost a business issue that should be understood and managed by the management rather than just the technical staff of the organization. While the NIS2 Directive and its provisions are supposed to be implemented by EU member states by October 2024, the Polish transposal process is still at a relatively early stage, with the draft implementing bill published only in April this year. Nevertheless, entities that may potentially be subject to its regulation would be wise to take steps to prepare themselves for its impact today. If you'd like to learn more about cybersecurity to prepare yourself, I invite you to read our guidebooks, such as the BEC Fraud Guide and the more recent Managing Ransomware and Data Breach Incidents Guide.
"20 years ago, on 1st May 2004, Poland joined the European Union. This anniversary is an opportunity to make a summary. Poland has so far received €261 billion from the EU budget, paying 86 billion into the EU coffers. However, at the same time as we have received a net 175 billion euro, we have generated almost 50 times more than the value of the European funds we have received. Contrary to appearances, it is not access to EU funds that is responsible for the vast majority of Poland's economic growth, but the opportunity for Polish entrepreneurs to operate in the single market, where the principle of free trade between EU countries means that in addition to Polish consumers, our companies enjoy free access to nearly 410 million consumers from the other 26 EU countries. And Polish companies have used this opportunity well, as in 2004 Poland was ranked 25th in the world among exporters, and in 2022 it was already in 16th place. At that time, the value of foreign direct investment in Poland exceeded $270 billion, which is 1/4 of the capital invested by foreign companies in the Central and Eastern European region. What do foreign investors still cite as the main reason for locating their investments in our country? It is Poland's membership in the European Union. For them, membership in EU structures is a guarantee of a stable economy, investment protection, and credibility of state institutions. This is even more important to them than, for example, low labor costs or qualifications of Polish workers. Among other things, thanks to the economic results, 76% of Poles have a positive attitude towards the EU, and probably for this reason, following our example, Poland's neighbor Ukraine also aspires to membership in the Union. Thank you for watching this episode. See you next time.